Okay. Welcome back, Dr. Joe. Good to have you with us after a short break, let's say it this way.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and I was so happy to see our Polish community represented in Cancun, and got a chance to interact with them a little bit. So I'm always happy to join and be with you.
Thank you for that. And speaking of Cancun, thank you again. Well, that's the thank you from the community because we got two opportunities this year. One in Basel, that there will be translation of the progressive workshop to Polish coming up soon, and another one in Cancun in June. So we're very grateful, and people can't wait for registration to start and be with you again.
Yeah, well, the Basel event is in a big arena there. It holds over 8,000 people, and we had um, more than 6,000 people on a waiting list for that weekend event. So we had a little meeting, and we decided to, if I'm going to be there, to do back-to-back events. So the good news is that we can serve more people in that way, and we don't get to Europe as often as we like since the pandemic, but we're making our way back. But it'll be great to be able to see 90 different countries typically at the Basel event, and then of course. Mexico is always a great place. It's so not like Poland.
Absolutely not. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so we have six questions. Some, well, depends, short or long, but let's start with the first one. And it goes like, can we change our destiny?
The the crux of this work really is about empowering people to arrive at the destiny or uh, the life that they would like to create. And one of the quandaries in philosophy has always been predeterminism, which is you don't control your destiny, and free will, which is like I have the ability as a conscious sovereign being to make choices. And so uh, it's a duality in a sense, but I do think that um, people who live their life um, every single day, uh, thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, doing the same things, creating the same experiences to feel the same emotions, that level of habituation puts our body on autopilot, and we lose our free will. We lose our ability to choose or create something new to a set of programs. And the body literally is dragging us into the same future based on what we did in the past. And so that particular person is headed to a genetic destiny. But the body really seeks novelty. What is the constant in the universe is really change and evolution and growth. So there isn't a lot of growth and there isn't a lot of evolution when you're in that predetermined state and headed to a genetic destiny. In fact, it doesn't take a fortune teller or a psychic to be able to observe somebody for a week and be able to predict where they're going to be or what's going to happen to them sooner or later in a certain amount of time. We can predict that. And prediction really is what three-dimensional reality is all about. Newtonian physics, classical physics, 100% of the time we can make a prediction with 100% accuracy. So that's what science is about when we're measuring the effects of materialism, of matter and space and time. There are many reputable biologists and scientists that I respect that say our behaviors are predetermined and there is no free will. That would be such a sad state for me to think that that was the extent of who we can be. It's kind of existential in a way, but I understand it.
Mhm.
But I also know that if you give people the right information, and once they learn that information, they become aware of things or opportunities or possibilities that they were once unaware of. That's what knowledge and information does. It deepens our understanding of the nature of reality. It's very philosophical and it's very theoretical if it's not applied. This work is about combining the sciences of possibility that say that you're greater than you think, more powerful than you know, more unlimited than you could ever dream. And a person, for example, that's diagnosed with a health condition, when I have my belief in what's possible in the last year, just in the last 3 months, in witnessing people on the stage telling stories of their personal change and transformation and healing from a certain disease. I would have never even thought it was possible, in that I would never see it in my lifetime. Maybe human beings would evolve to that point, but really my belief in what's possible has changed dramatically. So in order for a person to arrive at that vision of being healthy or that reality of being whole, they have to make a lot of changes to get there. And the majority of those changes that they have to make is to stop thinking one way and start rethinking another way. Stop feeling one way and start feeling another way. Stop being one way and start being another way. And that is a collision. It is an abrupt collision with the course of our predetermined reality, because we're restraining our body from being on autopilot. And that takes an enormous amount of energy, an enormous amount of awareness. The fact that you sit down and do your meditation and assign meaning to the act, really say, okay, I'm going to do this because I want this outcome and I understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. The meaning then causes you to want to have a greater outcome, right? Your belief is enhanced. So the knowledge then is the basis for the experience. And so a person who sits down and does their meditation every single day, whether they know it or not, they're changing their destiny, because if they didn't do their meditation, they would be on that predetermined line of time. The fact that we sit down and acknowledge that we're the creator of our life is a huge statement. And yet it's innate in us to create. It's innate in us to imagine. It's innate in us to dream. It's less probable that we do that when we're living in stress and living in survival, because it's not a time to create. It's, your senses are heightened, you're a materialist, your attention is on the rush of adrenaline in your body, your attention is on all the aspects of your environment, and we're very preoccupied with time. And yet the process of change is to be greater than your body, to be greater than your environment, to be greater than time. So when we're addicted to the hormones of stress, and we're programmed to be that way, it's very hard to change, right? So the person who chooses their wealth, or chooses their dream of health, or they choose a new relationship, or that's what they're focusing on, they have to keep remembering that dream. It's because it's so much easier to forget it than to remember it. But we can't arrive at whatever our dream is as the same person. You have to constantly, every day, make changes in order for you to arrive at that dream. So we can, in a sense, in a very strong way, change our destiny and create a different destiny than the destiny that we're headed on. And I believe that if you do a meditation really well, and you lift your blindfolds up, or you open your eyes and you turn the lights on in the room, if you've truly interacted with that sea of consciousness where all possibilities exist, and you are literally planting seeds of possibility in that field, and your exchange of information that's taking place between you as a consciousness and the consciousness of universal mind that when you lift your blindfolds up, I believe that you're in seamlessly in a different dimension. I believe that when you come back, that everything could be the same in your life, but there could be one thing different. And that one thing different is the acknowledgement that you are the creator. So the synchronicity, the opportunity, the coincidence is the universe saying, you touched me, and I'm going to give you a sign, and that sign is to inspire you to keep going. And that's when we start believing we're more of the creator of our life and less of the victim of our life. So two things. Number one, the hardest part of all this is making time to do it. If you do it every day, you're changing. You're not on the same line of time. Number two, we have to be able to assign meaning to what we're doing so that we can make a different choice. Because if you're not changing, you're still choosing, but you're choosing the known, right? So the people who arrive at their destination of that reality, that destiny sometimes takes them 2 years. But all along in the 2 years, they're changing unwanted habits and automatic behaviors. They're changing beliefs, that thought that you keep thinking over and over again. I can't, it's too hard. I can't heal, whatever it is. I'll never find the right person. I'll never, pay my debts off, whatever that is. And then, managing your emotional state. Does this emotion that I'm feeling align with the person who's healthy? Right now, is the emotion that I'm feeling align with the person who's abundant? No, I have to change my emotional state. So when you create really well with a sense of free will and you connect to that future, and you're literally investing your attention and energy into that future, then there is a predetermined movement of your body that's going to be drawn to that future reality. So that's when predeterminism or determinism marries free will. And so we create, and then we surrender and allow the universe to organize it in a way that's right for us. And so the experiment never ends. But the crux of this work is to empower people to try it out, to prove to themselves that when they're not in survival, they could actually create in their life. And I've just seen it happen too many times to not believe it any longer. So yes, we can change our destiny.
By making different choices.
Yeah, and then there's just one last thing that always sticks out in the back of my mind, which I also understand. And I think that before we incarnate into a physical body and experience three-dimensional reality, the soul does negotiate certain things in your life that must happen because the soul wants you to evolve, right? So let's just say that, I don't know, you keep behaving in the same way, no matter what body you incarnate for the last 150,000 incarnations. You keep making this choice, or you get to this critical point in your life and you don't choose you, or you don't forgive, or whatever that is. The soul is really interested in you being able to forgive, because once you forgive, you overcome the emotion, and now we can create something new. So the soul will negotiate certain things in your life before you enter your life experience that are milestones. They are touchstones. They're assembled in certain ways that you have to run into, because then that moment is a defining moment, whether you're going to choose the same or you're going to choose something differently. So there is an element of predeterminism when the soul gets involved in a lifetime, because it's interested in really an unknown experience for you to learn from experience, and for you to continue your journey back to source. So there is a little bit of predeterminism when the soul is choosing some of the greatest circumstances for your greatest evolution.
Yeah. I call it graduation. That each life is like, do you graduate or not? Are you moving to the next level or not? Are you staying
Exactly.
and repeating the same? Okay. Going forward with the second question, how do we keep magic and we actually sustain those elevated emotions? We're good at keeping the, negative emotion. We love to, steer them. But with the elevated emotions, we struggle.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's a constant thing that we have to work on. And I say this in all sincerity. It's not that you react emotionally. I do. The question is really how long are you going to react for? And um, those chemicals of the hormones of stress, literally, if you look at the biology behind them, on the average, they last about 90 seconds, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. That's what the rush of adrenaline does. And some people get the rush and then they want like an addict, they want another rush, and then they want another rush, and they want another rush. And then we don't consciously think we're doing that, but it's just like, you take a drug and it feels good, and then you take a drug and it feels good, or you get aroused or whatever it is, and that becomes the problem. So if you think about the energy centers of the body briefly, right? I mean, when energy from your own thoughts moves into the first energy center, its directive, its intention is to procreate. That's what it's there for. And nature made it super pleasurable so that we procreate and we keep the species going. The second energy center, when it's out of balance, we feel guilt and we feel unworthiness and we feel shame and we feel insecurity, and we feel fear, and we feel victimization. And a lot of people condition their body emotionally to feel that way, and they don't know that they can feel another way. So that center is activated with energy all the time, and so those energy centers send information out. That's what they do. Then energy moves into the second energy center, and becomes activated. Now, when the second energy center is balanced, you feel safe and secure, like you ate a great meal, you're with people you love, you're in a warm, cozy, nice environment. It's beautiful. You have resources, you have family, you have social networks, you have connections. That is when the second energy center is in balance. The third energy center is overlooked because there's just a huge, huge plexus of neurons, a huge brain that really innervates a lot of the upper abdominal organs, as well as the adrenal glands that sit on the kidneys. And it's a big switchboard of neurological tissue. It has a big brain. And that is really how we navigate and move about in three-dimensional reality. It's for us to overcome when things appear unsafe, use our body to do something, our will, we are empowered to do something. And when it's out of balance, then, you can experience anger, frustration, self-importance, entitlement, control, competition, resentment. I could go on, but you get the idea. And so some people are using that energy center all the time. And so the first three energy centers of the body have everything to do with pretty much survival. It's our human animal self. There's nothing wrong with any of those energy centers. Like, we just have to manage those. So if you're working on the fourth energy center and you're living in survival, you can understand that you're going against a very strong program, because we've been programmed biologically when we're in survival to not be vulnerable. Why would you open your heart? Why would you want to be creative? Why would you want to connect? It's not a time to learn. It's not a time to do any of those things, right? So the process of awakening the center in the beginning has to be done with our eyes closed. We have to learn how to put our attention on it, and putting our attention on it is feeding it energy. I've seen it on the on the technology that we've created, that you're filling like a gas tank, you're filling it with your energy, with your attention. So, okay, you're giving it the force of life, the very force of life that causes a flower to bloom. So the center has been closed down, and the protective networks in the brain say, should always be on guard, like never open your heart. It's just not, and so people just basically unconsciously live that way. So now you're going to practice that, and you're going to practice opening your heart, and you're going to have to put your attention on it. And you have to have the intention that when you put your attention on it, you're giving it your energy. And then you have to catch yourself out of all the things you're thinking about in your life or could put your attention on. You're saying, I want to awaken my creative center. Okay. If I put my attention on there, I'm doing it. Okay. If I'm constantly in the fight or flight nervous system, I got to train my body. I got to retrain my body to relax. Okay. Well, then breathing is a great way. Slow, deep breaths are a great way to convert from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. And you're the trainer of your body. Yeah, I know you can come up with 1,000 reasons why you can't relax and 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't open your heart. Everybody has excuses for that. But if you're truly interested in awakening this center, you got to start feeling the emotions then that are associated with this center, which is kindness and care and love and inspiration and joy and gratitude and appreciation. And so if you combine the breath with putting your attention on it and getting your body to relax, when your body starts to relax, it makes sense then that if it's feeling relaxed and safe enough, and you're out of that fight or flight nervous system, that you can feel those emotions. So we practice first doing that in our meditations with our eyes closed. But the real intention is to familiarize yourself with that feeling. And if you have to bring it up in your meditation, I do this. If you have to bring it up 50 times in your meditation and keep feeling it and keep feeling it and keep feeling it, and if you wander from it, keep feeling it. If you keep practice feeling it, if you keep practicing it, keep practice feeling that emotion, those elevated emotions over and over again, you'll start making the chemicals that center releases. And it'll make sense then that the more you do it, the better you get at it. And you got to get so good at doing it with your eyes closed, then you got to do it with your eyes open. And then you have to be able to put more attention on your inner world and not all of your attention on people and objects and things in your outer world. You got to manage and regulate your emotional state. And for me, I like to make it a game, like a test. Okay, today I'm going to be relaxed in my heart and awake in my brain the whole day. I don't care what happens. I don't care what falls apart. I don't care what challenges I have. That's my goal. Now, in the light and the expanse of all eternity, this is what the soul wants. The soul wants you to be able to go to a new experience. So, some days you get hammered. Well, I don't know what the word is in Polish, but you get challenged. It comes at you faster than you want. But that's the test, because if you can manage your emotional state, then anything else is going to be easy, right? And when it's the hardest, I always say it matters the most. So that's what the walking meditations are about, to start practicing with your eyes open. Now, if you're truly interested in sustaining elevated emotional states, then even the Buddhists say this: you can't feel two emotions at the same time. If you're feeling anger, you're not going to be feeling love. Okay, what am I angry about? Is it worth feeling angry? Is that good for me? Is it healing? Is that the emotion that's going to heal me? Or is that the emotion that's going to knock me out of balance and homeostasis? Okay, I got to change that. Yeah, I know you got a reason for it, justified or not. You're still going to have to change your emotional response. And this is what people do that heal, because they realize that that emotional state is actually weakening their body, and they have nothing else is working for them. So they got to get serious about this. So the trial and the error, forgetting and then remembering, going unconscious and becoming conscious again, is exactly how you break that state, how you break that habit, how you break that conditioning process. And then the last step are the thoughts that you think during the day. because every thought makes a chemical. So if you're thinking certain thoughts that make you feel bad, then you're not going to feel love. You're going to feel bad. Okay, well, that sounds like it's overwhelming. In the beginning, it's David versus Goliath. It is like you're taking on something that has way more power over you. But you got to start somewhere, because there's no person, there's no life coach, there's no one that's going to open your heart for you but you, right? And so to be able to feel love and those elevated emotions without needing anyone or anything, I say is a sovereign human being. Because what you're literally doing is you're choosing a greater consciousness. When the heart opens up, the behaviors that go along with that center being opened up tend to be less selfish and more selfless. We tend to feel so good that we want other people to feel the way we feel. So the natural response is giving. So then people say to me, well, I can't open my heart. Well, I always tell them, start giving. Give something to somebody, go do something for somebody and really do it with meaning and feel the feeling of what it feels like when they say thank you, or you witness their surprise or their joy. That's exactly what it takes to open the heart. So people that are in our community, say at an end of a 7-day event or now even a 10-day event, there's so much love that they have. It's a different consciousness. And love kind of bonds, it kind of glues, it kind of connects us. And so the tribe gets closer together. We're more appreciative of the moment. All of these wonderful things start to happen. And when the creative center is activated, it tells the brain to stop obsessing. It tells the brain the past is over. It tells the brain the trauma's done. It tells the brain to get creative again. And it really resets the baseline emotionally. So people who understand that and do it with the intention, I'm going to keep opening my heart because I can literally erase my past emotionally. And that's exactly what it says. And when you're feeling that emotion on a regular basis, if you understand that that emotion could actually change your gene expression and you assign meaning to doing that, we discovered that 100% of the people who put intention behind it in that right state actually regulate new genes and make new proteins. Okay, well, it makes sense then that that would be the emotion I would want to feel every single day. Okay, so no different than an actor or an actress becoming a character. You'd have to do it with your eyes closed and mentally rehearse and get in that state and think, when I see this person or I go to this place or I'm in this meeting, how am I going to feel? How am I going to behave? What am I going to look like? And you do it for that reason. And then, at the end of your day, you have to really look to see, when did I fall from grace? And the next day is another lifetime. And then you get better at doing it. So if you're no longer thinking and feeling in the first three energy centers, it just makes sense that sooner or later the energy is going to move into your heart. And we have data to suggest that people who do this actually have their heart spontaneously move into coherence when they're not in their meditation, just when they're out in their life. Their body is, wanting to be in that state. So it is a challenge when we live in survival. The world is certainly telling us something different. And yet, though, if you get a collective group of people together, like we do at week-long retreats, that are all doing it at the same time, we discover that after the event is over, like the event ends, and then their heart coherence, I'll do it this way. Let's see. Yeah. The heart coherence after the event just keeps going up. Their HRV just keeps improving after the event is completed. So community then is an important element. Join a coherence healing group, get in there and not make it be about you. Give life to another person's life. People who do that tell me all the time, I will never miss my time doing a coherence healing. I could have the worst day in my life. And when I sit down and I see the picture of that person, it's no longer about me. Wow, I'm somehow I'm changed. So this goes against the program to open our hearts. And I think that um, you have to protect your heart as well. So there's that kind of delicate balance. But the job is to get really good with doing it with your eyes open. It is a different consciousness, and that consciousness really is about possibility, and that's when the divine in us is born. So it's always worth the effort.
It is indeed. This is that was huge breakthrough for me to learn the connection, the thought, and the feelings to the point that now oftentimes I skip my thought, but I will notice how I feel, and I'm like, damn it, okay, what happened? Just I don't know, an hour before that got you to this point. It's so powerful to be able to.
Yeah, and to not get angry that you lost your focus. I mean, that doesn't help either. Don't get frustrated. Just go, oh, I went unconscious. Okay, let me take a moment, let me just remember what that feeling is. I probably would execute better in my life feeling this way than feeling the other way. So I don't know how many times we have to forgive ourselves in a lifetime, but that's a never-ending process as well.
Absolutely. Okay. So going to the next one, Dr. Joe. So how can we effectively balance being fully present in the moment and receiving impulses from the source while still engaging in planning and creating that vision of the future? Because sometimes I find it challenging to reconcile those two aspects.
Yeah. I think we have to straddle both worlds. It's a great question. I deal with this. I'm a super busy person. I mean, I'm busy. Like I start at 7 in the morning and well, I start at 4:30 in the morning, but when I start really getting into my life in meetings and Zoom calls and decisions and staff and planning for, we're planning events for 2029. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's just crazy. So it's a delicate balance. We have to keep one foot in the real world and one foot in the quantum world. And I think um, I always say to the youth, it doesn't serve you to create your reality, then sit on your couch and wait for your wealth to come. That's not what life is about. We are on the plane of demonstration. And the plane of demonstration, you got to do something to get an outcome. So the meditations are designed for you to create from the present moment. And if you're truly in the present moment, you're not thinking about the future or thinking about what you need to do, or your body's not, trying to get up, that is not being present. And you're not wallowing or remaining in the emotions of the past because emotions are a record of the past. So laboring for the present moment is how greatness is born. And we have to know the difference between when we're present and when we're not. Because where you place your attention is where you place your energy. If you're sitting in your meditation, you're thinking about all the things you have to do in that day, you're thinking about all the known things, right? And so get that over with before your meditation. And if you're disturbed by something, then you're doing your meditation to overcome that emotional state. That's so the familiar past is the known when we feel those emotions, and the predictable future when we're in a habit or on an autopilot is the known. So the present moment, that sweet spot, is literally the unknown. That's where being in the present moment, being in the now, is being in the unknown, and it takes a lot of work to train our body to be in the present moment. Because as we think about the future, that's known to us, our energy is leaving the present moment, because where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and it's going to a person or an object or a thing or a place at a certain time. If you're remembering an event that happened in the past, you're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past. So if you're truly present and where you place your attention is where you place your energy, you got a lot of energy to create. And to be able to be comfortable in the unknown takes a lot of practice. And so that's what we work on in the events. Now, when you're truly there, it's a good feeling. I always know, I know the difference between when I'm there and I'm not. And if it takes me 2 hours to get there and I never get to creating, it's the labor of getting to the present moment is me overcoming myself. And the rest of the day always seems much easier because if I can overcome me, I can overcome anybody, believe me. So I work on that. Now, some days are easier than others. If I'm truly there, though, then whatever it is I'm working on in my creative process, and to be honest, there's nothing material that I really want. It's more about my own experience in the unknown. So so I do that. I do that with with the curiosity and the wonder of what would happen if I changed my energy or if I invested my energy in this future. Could I strengthen my belief if I keep doing it over and over again to the point where I start to know that it's going to happen? Okay, that's where I want to arrive, that kind of level of knowingness. So now I'm investing my attention and energy into that future over and over again. If where I place my attention is where I place my energy, then my body should follow my mind right to that experience, just like it follows my mind when I think about going to my car or going on to my bedroom, whatever. My body's always going to follow my mind, but it's following it to the known. So I keep investing my attention and energy. And then I think, okay, in order for me to arrive at that future, I got to be in the emotional state of what it feels like for it to already have happened. Okay, so that's my job today because if I do that really well, I should see a synchronicity or an opportunity. Okay, that's my goal. Okay, now I still have to get out of bed. I still have to get up. I still have meetings. Still have things to do. And I'm going to do all those things, but I'm going to keep my energy up because if I'm feeling the emotion of my future before it happens, there's no way I can look for it.
Mhm.
I can't look for it if it feels like it's already happened. Why would I look for it if it feels like it already happened? The moment I feel something else, then all of a sudden I start going, where is it? I'm separate from the experience, and we cannot attract anything in our life that we feel separate from. It's impossible. So I do that in the 5D world, in the quantum world, and I do that creative process. And then I'm a doer. Like I'm a doer. Like I do a lot of things I like to do. I like to do things. I like to engage in life. So, but can I enhance my experience of doing so it's fun, it's exciting, I'm inspired, I'm changing to get on that course. Um, I'm a work in progress. So there's always an element of doing, but then the question is, how are you doing it?
Mhm.
Are you doing it in urgency? Are you doing it in control, trying to control? Are you doing it trying to predict? Are you forcing? What are you doing, in you competing? What is that? That's not you trusting in that future. So in a sense, we have to lay down everything we know in our life uh, uh, in order to create for something greater to occur. So that means then that we have to step out of the way and do our things in our life in a different energy, in a different mannerism, in a different way. And at the end of the day, we have to count our blessings. We have to celebrate what we did well so that we can remember to do it again tomorrow. We have to learn from the things that we didn't do well and then restructure or review how you're going to be the next day so you continue to evolve. Now, if you do that really well, the two merge.
Mhm.
The 5D and the 3D merge. You somehow are stepping towards your future, and you're stepping towards your future in the right energy and the right attitude, even though you can't see it or experience it yet with your senses, but you feel connected to it. Um, all of a sudden, as you step towards your future, there's a shortening
Mhm.
uh, in the distance between the thought of what you want and the experience of having it. Things start to happen faster in a shorter amount of time. So there's some loopholes. There's some uh, um, uh, 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 difficulties for certain people because it's very easy to seamlessly go unconscious and then get back to certain habits. So I think that the demonstration of who you want to be then in your day is really the alignment to the vision that you're creating. And it just takes, like, if you want to be wealthy, really want to be wealthy, get real. Get real and read books about people who are wealthy. You will see that they failed so many times. You will see that they were betrayed so many times, stolen from. You'll see that they had all kinds of conflicts with family members, whatever. That's a real person that really became abundant, because when everybody else said, "I'm done," they just went one more time. And that was the difference between being in lack and being abundant. And they became abundant. So the archetype that we create for ourselves is unique to every person. Like I mean, my whole thing is very different than someone else's, but I want to make a difference in the world, say. I want to contribute in some way. I want to be with community that are so, like-minded. I love mystical experiences, so that's like my thing. So I got to be able to walk like a mystic in my day, no matter, independent of anyone or anything. And there's no excuse, because the moment I say that person or that circumstance is robbing me from my joy or my love for my future, then basically I'm saying I'm victim to that person or circumstance. They're controlling my feelings and thoughts. So every day it's a learning process, right? But you can merge both if you're willing to demonstrate who you want to be that's already consistent with that vision, and they somehow come together.
Thank you. So the next one, I'll give you a context. So this person, daughter got sick, and she had flu and vomited once. Now, since then, the daughter developed emetophobia, the fear of vomiting. And the mother is concerned how to help this young child to work with that, because there's moments that it's working and then the fear kicks in. But the level also of understanding for the child is, I don't want to say
Yeah.
limited, but it's just where she is on her,
Yeah.
where she is. So how to potentially help.
Well, I don't think it's a fear. I think it's a phobia.
Okay?
And a phobia is kind of like, in a sense, a neurosis, where you have an event that happens in your life. It's traumatic. You lose control, or you're shocked, or whatever. Um, and then the brain is always preoccupied with the fact that it can't happen again. Like, you never want to live through that again. And so, especially with a young mind that's 7 to 10 years old, the experience is rooted in the implicit memory system. That is the body-mind memory system. So the body has been you take a horse, and a horse hits a hotline. It only has to hit a hotline, like a good hotline, once, and it'll never go near that hotline again. It's not like it's not just their conscious mind saying, I don't want to hit the hotline. Their body's telling them, don't do that again. There's an intelligence in the body that's saying, don't go near that thing. It's going to hurt. So, so, so so this young child is preoccupied, is overfocused or obsessed about the experience happening again, and her whole consciousness, her whole uh, um, thought process, and the emotions associated with it are connected to that event. And so she's trying to make sure, under no circumstances, does she want to experience that again. And now it's interfering with every aspect of her life, right? So, um, I would recommend that the parent seek some professional help. There's EMDR, eye movement, uh, 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 desensitization and reprocessing. I've seen the brain scans. It works really well. If the child is willing to do it, it's just reprogramming it subconsciously. I've seen that work really well. there's another process called systematic desensitization, and that's another therapeutic technique. Hypnosis for a child is another good technique. You can't reason with the child or anybody with their conscious mind, especially if it's programmed subconsciously. So it's in the implicit system. And hypnosis opens the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. EMDR opens the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Systematic desensitization allows the child to be exposed slowly to the event and have her change her emotional state. And in time, she becomes desensitized to that event. So she needs some help. She needs some clinical help. And the big thing about it is that you don't want that to become her identity at 10 years old. And for many people who have something like that where they lose control, it's very difficult. But it's not reasonable. I mean, it's not reasonable to live that way. So I would seek professional help for that and work with her. I think always consider the remote coherence healing groups, especially with kids. I mean, I've just seen too many miracles with our remote coherence healings in children. It's just I see them all the time. So that's also another kind of backdoor approach to change and help the child as well.
Thank you for that. And we have actually a Polish coherence group. So that's perfect. We're working on it. Two more, okay?
Sure.
More questions. So how to meditate when we are in pain, when physical pain makes it difficult to focus, and then how to nevertheless try to relax and be above it. And it's like a combined questions. Now, because of the pain, the person is choosing semi lay down position because it's much more comfortable. So this is not because she falls, she's lazy, she doesn't want to do it. It's just because of the body condition. So how to keep overcoming that?
Yeah. Gosh, I love this question because when we're in pain, it's really hard to think greater than how we feel. I had an injury just last month with severe pain, and it took me a lot. It took me a lot to get beyond it, and it's kind of a getting beyond the temptation to always go back and check to see if it's there. That's what pain does. It captures our attention, right? So you're in a meditation and all of a sudden you start getting beyond it and you go back and you look, oh, it's still there. So our experience of pain actually causes us to wire pain in our brain. It's just the way it is. So the meditations that we do in becoming nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time, some people have a little bit of pain and they're preoccupied with it. But when you have a severe amount of pain, it takes a Herculean effort to forget about it. And yet the effort to keep putting your attention on that nothing, on that void, on that vacuum, and surrendering any aspect of yourself, your limited self, to join your greater self, to lose your identity to nothing. The act of doing that, it causes so much more order in the brain to take place, and the circuits in the brain that have been compartmentalized or separate from the brain. If we keep creating global coherence in the brain, sooner or later, those circuits become integrated. They join the whole. They become synchronized. And so it's not something that happens in one shot. And I've seen this, God, so many times on the stage in testimonials in the last year or two. So many times I've seen this where people have had horrific pain, physical horrific pain, emotional horrific pain. I mean, and they just never gave up. And all they noticed is that one day they got beyond it. And then their whole experience of pain changed past that point. Now, if you can't sit up because the pain is so severe, put yourself in a position where you feel less pain, but don't escape. That means don't go to sleep. That's not what you can go to sleep that way. You already know how to do that. We want you half awake and half asleep. And so sometimes, I know this sounds crazy, but sometimes pain is the catalyst for us to change. Pain is the catalyst that causes us to want to get beyond it. Like people say, I would have never become this person if I didn't have that health condition. I would have never changed, right? So the pain is an irritation. It's something that's driving us to kind of want to change. So in the meditation, then, when I say become nobody, what I'm saying is take all of your attention off your body. And if you could only do that for 10 seconds, and then you feel the pain again, those 10 seconds are worth it, because nerve cells that no longer fire together no longer wire together. If you can do it for 2 minutes, some people said I could only do my meditation for 2 minutes when I started. Okay, now that's your starting point. 2 minutes can become 3 minutes. You just have to go past the point where you normally stop. Because when you go past the point where you think you can't go any further, that's when the brain changes the most. That's the unknown. So this is, again, a journey. And so if you're not aware of the pain because you're in that void or that vacuum or in that nothing, there's more order that's going to take place in your nervous system. Change your brain waves and do that. Now the autonomic nervous system starts regulating back to order, and that's what starts it releasing all the endogenous opioids that we're studying. 100% of the people that do meditation in our week-long retreats, 100% of them, 63 different health conditions that all have their own variations of pain. At the end of 7 days, 100% of those people are making all of the endogenous opiates. They're making their own morphine, their own natural pain relievers. So we know that it reduces pain, independent of the health condition you have or disease or chronic condition. So what most people do is they say, I can't get beyond the pain. They're not conscious that they're saying that. I can't, it hurts too much. Okay, well, when you're conscious and you're in the 3D world, I'm sure it's there, and I'm sure you can get distracted or you can medicate. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that. But in your meditation, your job is to forget about your body. And if that takes you, I'm not kidding, if it takes you a year to get beyond your body, and you say, I can only do it for a minute. Now I'm up to an hour. Now I'm up to 45 minutes. I promise you, your experience of pain will be much greater. And so it is not an easy process to get beyond it. And yet the people who work diligently in doing that, the moment they become nobody, they're not aware of their body any longer, their pain, their drives, they forget that they have a body. And the act is to linger in that vacuum, in that void, in that nothing, literally as pure consciousness. You're not your body when you're there. You're a thought. You're an awareness. And all I want, my greatest bit of advice is to feel more of that void, feel more of it and less of you. Experience more of it and less of you. Fall in love with more of it and less of you. Keep surrendering any aspect, your pain, whatever, and even go a little deeper. Just don't go back and check. Sooner or later, I mean, I've done this. You go back and see if it's better. That's what the analytical mind does. But just say for the next 30 minutes or the next 20 minutes, I'm going to work on doing this. I'm going to work on doing it to create more brain coherence, to get out of high beta, to change my brain waves, to no longer on fire and wire those circuits because I'm not experiencing it. And in time, there'll be an integration. And I've seen this so many times. People say on the stage, man, the moment I noticed that my pain levels went from like a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, the moment I got up and it was like a 5, that was it for me. That was it. That's all I needed. My belief in what I was doing from that point forward. Then everything moved a lot faster. So you're putting 10 in and you're getting 1 out. But if you keep going, you start putting 1 in, you start getting 10 out. That's when it gets exciting. But it takes practice. And so be kind to yourself. It's not something like an on-off switch. It doesn't work like that, although every now and then it does. But it's a process. It's a journey. And you got to be kind to yourself and you got to set realistic goals. And some people say, I couldn't sit up and do it. Now I sit up all the time because the pain isn't as severe. Your body can make the natural pain relievers. I know that for a fact. And all you have to do is stay with it.
Thank you. So the last one is in a way connected to healing and dealing with pain and overcoming it and creating new body. So Dr. Joe, you tell us that after your accident, you reconstructed your spine. What does really mean when you say that? And did you literally imagine what the healthy spine and vertebrae look like, or did you focus more on desire overall health and then including emotions and feelings with that? So, or was it both? It's a combination of both. Is it necessary that we visualize what we want, or the feelings and emotions of what we want enough?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question too. So I don't want to make this be about me, but I will say that I was a young kid. I was 24 years old. I didn't know any like what I know now. But I realized after, I got the diagnosis and the prognosis that just the surgery would change my life dramatically. Like I would not be the same. I couldn't function or play sports or train or do martial arts or yoga, anything I loved to do at the time, triathlons ever again with rods that go from the base of my neck to the base of my spine. I couldn't bend. I wouldn't be able to do it. I couldn't sleep. What a horrible existence I would have because this expanse of the vertebrae that I broke were 6 vertebrae. It was right in the middle of my spine. And I didn't want to do it. I just thought, oh God, if I'm paralyzed, they're telling me I'm going to be possibly paralyzed either way. So I might as well not do it. So I thought 2 things. I thought the power that made the body heals the body. I thought there's an innate intelligence in the body that's giving me life. There's some intelligence that's digesting my food, running, little enzymes through my DNA, creating order out of mutations. It's filtering blood that I'm drawing in this oxygen. And all the body's a miracle. Like there's no way that I can heal this thing, but I think that if I can make contact with this intelligence and give it a plan, give it a template, give it a design, show it what I want. I knew it could heal, but I didn't think it could heal to this level, right? There's a limitation in how we've been programmed, but I wanted to see if I could reprogram it. So my idea was to show it exactly what I wanted from start to finish. And when I felt really good about showing it what I wanted, and I was present the entire time, then I would surrender my creation, surrender that intention to this intelligence, and it could do the healing for me. And then I started looking like, what is this intelligence? Like, what is it? It's omnipresent. Okay, what does that mean? It means it's present. That means in order for me to make contact with it, I have to be present with it. It's already present. I'm not. And so I could not get my mind to do what I wanted to do. And I just, I have a background in spinal biomechanics. I know the spine very well, not only just from studying it, but just for the amount of yoga and the amount of martial arts I did. I was very connected to my body in a very, very deep way. So in my mind, I would reconstruct those vertebrae like with like a mortar, like, when you do concrete. I would just lift up the vertebrae and I'd look at each one of them. I had a real spine, a real human spine that I had in my office. And I studied every one of those vertebrae, T8, T9, T10, T11, T12, L1. I could draw them. I got very familiar with them. That was the object of my affection. And I would just remember how I saw scans and how they were broken, and the neural arch on one of them was kind of broken. So it's just my conscious mind be like, there's no way you're going to be able to like move in all that stuff. And I was like, well, I don't have any other choice. Like, I don't have any other choice. So I'd go in there and do the ring, and get it all clean. And then if my mind wandered, oh my God, you're going to be in a wheelchair. Should you sell your practice? Should you sell your home? I lost my focus. Then I wasn't present any longer with it. And now I was showing it what I didn't want
Yes.
instead of what I did want. And I'd be like, oh, Jesus. And I'd start all over again. I wanted to go from the start to the finish, every vertebrae, reconstruct, show me this is what I want. And when I felt like I got it all in there, then I would let go and I'd surrender. The problem was that for the first 6.5 weeks, I couldn't get my mind to do what I wanted it to do. And I got frustrated and I got impatient and I got angry and I got victimized. And, I went through all of that. And those aren't the emotions that heal. But I didn't know that at the time. I was just battling with myself. And it would take me hours. And I'm not kidding you, like hours. And I had nothing else to do. Like I was laying face down. I had nothing else to do. So I did that. And then the second thing I worked on was not letting any thought slip by my awareness without me deciding if I wanted to experience it. So that was a lot going on for me. There was a lot of pruning going on. There was a lot of me trying to get beyond my emotions, practicing staying present. Those first 6.5 weeks, what I didn't know that I was really mastering being present and firing and wiring new circuits. And it got to a certain point where all of a sudden, after 6.5 weeks, getting beyond the pain, my body would have all these involuntary shimmers and tremors and stuff. Everything just, after 6.5 weeks, something just happened. It just happened. What took me 3 hours or 4 hours to do, I was able to do in 45 minutes. I don't know. I could just do it. In my mind, I'd never break my focus. And I felt so good when I was able to do it that I started not caring as much about whether I could heal. I don't know how to say this. I was more kind of involved in the effort, and my pain level started going down. I started feeling my legs, more motor function. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. And then I knew, like, okay, I'm producing some effect. But then the second part was after I did that, I started actually believing that I could actually walk. I started believing it, like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch a sunset. And I would just lay there and I would go to the beach in my mind and I would fall in love with just never taking a sunset for granted again. I'd say, I'm going to feel it. And I would just go through the whole feeling of what it'd be like to watch a sunset, to sit at a table with people and eat again instead of laying face down, to use a bathroom, to take a shower. I would fall in love with those things that could possibly happen. I didn't know that when I was feeling the emotion of whatever I was visualizing, my body was believing it was living there. It didn't know the difference. And it kind of accelerated my healing processes. And from the 6.5 weeks to 10 weeks, I don't know what happened. Just everything changed for me. So I reconstructed the vertebrae at that time because that was my understanding of the way that I should do it. Would I do it that way today? Maybe not. Maybe I would change the information in the field and I would, well, that's what I was doing in a sense, but I might not do it the exact same way. So I did both. I did the reconstruction process because I wanted to show this intelligence exactly what I wanted. And I wanted to be really, really specific. I wanted it to be perfect. And then I would be like, I don't, Joe Dispenza doesn't know any of this thing. I got to get out of the way. You do it. You're the intelligence, but I'm not asking for you to just create calcium strings in my bones so they're broken and I could still function. I need a restoration here. And then as it started getting easier, then I started to imagine all the things that I wanted and getting back on my bike again. I was back on my bike in 12 weeks. That's a little something I wanted to do. So I had a lot of time. Like I had so much time on my hand that it was on my hands that it changed me. It changed so many things about me that when I finally got on my feet, I was not the same person. I was initiated. I was a different person. I couldn't go back to the same life. I was not the same person. I remember getting back to my home and just being like, okay, like now what? Like you're not the same character. Like what do you do now? Like so I think um having an intention of what we want is really important. I also think that people who really want to get specific about healing a body part, um, there's nothing wrong with getting intimate, with
Mhm.
looking at graphs or pictures or illustrations or photographs of that body part to read a little bit about how it works and how it functions and, understanding it, not being in denial about it, understanding what you need to do. I think it helps a lot of people. So it's not just visualizing the future, it's visualizing that future, and we have to feel the emotion of it because you could actually signal genes ahead of the environment. And then that's exactly what this work is about. So uh having the intention and surrendering, and also understanding that this intelligence, you have to be present with it in order for it to respond, and trusting that it already knows how to do it. So that's a that's an ongoing process. As I always say, my experience of surrender just this week is not the experience of surrender that I had a month ago. I just it's just never it's a never-ending process. So I think it's a combination of both.
Thank you. Well, through answering those questions, you are giving us tools, methodologies, and the way you say it. And I will always repeat that every time I talk to you, and I've heard it many times, it feels different and lands different. So there's so many tools that we have here that we can use. At the end, it's about taking action and using those tools, because again, knowledge, yes, it gives us foundation and gives us an understanding, but if we stop there, reading about it will not do the magic. So we have the tools, and now let's go to work. So
Yeah, and when I was in Poland, for our progressive workshop, I was just so impressed with the knowledge base of the people that were there. They were so prepared. They studied really well. They were, my experience was they were very happy and very excited. And you got to be able to do that on your own. You got to be able to do it on your own, or at least the community has to stay together, and we have to use each other to inform one another and to learn from one another.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I will definitely see you in Basel, in Cancun, and trust that we meet in this format again soon to share more wisdom and tools with Polish community. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.